XRP just became a bank reserve asset. The escrow just became the global liquidity pools. RLUSD just became the world's US digital dollar. I want to dive into what Chad Steingraber is saying here. Ripple's banking license just got approved here in the United States. This is going to mean big things for XRP and RLUSD specifically, but what does it mean to be a bank reserve asset and why is that so important for us? Let's just dive right into all of this information. So first, of course, we covered this in already 2 videos, so go back in time if you don't know what's going on here, but Ripple did get approval. So did 5 in total, 4 other companies here. Ripple National Trust Bank, it's a preliminary. It will take Ripple about 9 to 12 months to fully set up their bank. I broke this all in fine detail in my last video that should come out before this one. If you should see this, just go look back maybe same day or the day before. XRP just became a bank reserve asset. The escrow just became global liquidity pools. RLUSD just became the world's largest US digital dollar. So I want to dig into this. A bank reserve asset is very safe, highly liquid money that a central bank or commercial bank holds to meet obligations and manage the financial system. It exists so the institution can handle withdrawals, payments, and shocks without running out of cash. This is specifically what RLUSD and XRP specifically could fill the void. The core idea here is a bank reserve asset is an asset that sits on a bank's balance sheet, Ripple's balance sheet, in the form of cash in the vault or deposits at the central bank, and it is not normally lent out to customers. This pool of assets is used to satisfy regulatory reserve requirements to ensure the bank can meet day-to-day payment and withdrawal demands. Is this all kind of making connections in your head? When people talk about reserve assets in a macro context, they often mean the international reserve assets held by countries' central banks. These typically include foreign currency deposits and securities, for example, US treasuries held by another country's central bank, monetary gold, and special drawing rights at the IMF. Those official reserve assets let the central bank intervene in foreign exchange markets and cover balance of payments gaps, helping stabilize the national currency and external financing. And physical cash and bank vaults balances at the bank holds at the central bank. So let's break this down a little bit further. Ripple's conditional OCC bank trust charter is a structural game changer for RLUSD in the US and indirect but important regulatory tailwind for XRP, especially for bank grade payments and settlement use cases. What the charter actually is, we covered this in detail, but let's just give a quick overview. Ripple has received a conditional approval from the OCC to establish the Ripple National Trust Bank, a federally supervised national trust bank, not a full retail deposit bank. So you and I won't be having an account at Ripple Bank. Unfortunately, that wasn't in the plans when they submitted that. This could change maybe 5-10 years down the road, but specifically right now, you and I are not on the menu. The new entity will sit under the OCC supervision roughly with other 60 national trust banks, and they must satisfy capital, risk, and operational conditions before fully operational. Like I said, this could take 9 to 12 months. Since Ripple has had some contact and involvement with the New York Department of Financial Services already, they are a few steps ahead of maybe some of these other banks who just got approved. Direct implications for RLUSD here in the United States. The bank will manage RLUSD reserves as collateral as a fiduciary, with RLUSD falling under dual regulation from both the OCC and the New York Department of Financial Services. That structure makes RLUSD one of the most heavily regulated dollar stablecoins in the market. Full stop. Circle doesn't have this, okay? And Tether, right? That's laughable. It's not even the same race, right? You're over there doing something else in the stands. We are out here running a marathon. I don't know if that worked, but we're just going to go with it. This is what the largest financial institutions, maybe even central banks, are going to want to look at. Right now, the US isn't interested in launching their own CBDC, but we could say that Ripple here in RLUSD could be America's digital dollar for the future, because it is going to be one of the highest regulated stablecoins on the planet. It doesn't get higher when you're talking about a regulatory observation and perimeter than what Ripple has now put RLUSD in. There is no greater step up. Okay, positioning it to be used by US banks, prime brokers, and corporates that demand level oversight rather than money transmitter only stablecoins. What unlocks XRP usage here? Recent OCC guidance, interpretive letter 1188, explicitly permits national banks to use crypto assets, including XRP, for risk principal, settlement, and payment activities as part of business of banking. With Ripple itself operating as a national trust bank under that guidance, US institutions now have clear regulatory pathway to route on and off ramps, custody, and settlement through bank regulated stack that can incorporate XRP for cross-border and interim platform liquidity, even if XRP is not counted as a regulatory capital or its reserves. Basically, XRP can now be used in the banking system here in the United States. That's how I read that. Okay, I like it. I'll take it. Is Bitcoin at this level? What about Ethereum? No. Bummer. All right, XRP then. Core role. This is a little bit aspect, regulatory hook, US adoption sector. Not gonna get too much into this, but RLUSD tokenized US dollars used as stable settlement and collateral inside Ripple's banking and payment stack. Don't want to talk about that too much. How could this evolve next? If Ripple or its subsidiaries secure a Federal Reserve master account for RLUSD reserves, RLUSD backing could sit directly at the Fed, further reducing counterparty risk and making it extremely attractive to US banks and payment processors. As RLUSD volume